Hello and welcome. My name is Zafar Iqbal and you are watching the Mojo Story. Bangladesh's interim leader Muhammad Yunus, appointed after last year's student-led uprising in that country that happened, he came to power after Sheikh Hasina's government was ousted, is now reportedly considering resignation amid deepening political deadlock in that country. Now, reports say that frustrated by the consensus and growing pressure from both the military and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Yunus feels unable to function effectively. The army chief of that country has demanded elections by December, calling the situation chaotic. Uh, to get a sense and a better understanding of the situation in Bangladesh, we are joined by Dr. Mubashir Hassan. He's the postdoctoral fellow at the University of Oslo, Norway. Welcome to Mojo Story, Dr. Hassan. How serious is Yunus's threat to resign, and what might it signal about the internal government's, interim government's, internal stability?
Thank you for inviting me, Jafur. So, Dr. Muhammad Yunus announced today through his advisorial body that he is not going to resign. So there was talk for last 2 days, mostly kind of rumors in the capital city that Dr. Muhammad Yunus may resign, and the reason was that the army chief, General Walker, he announced in an army meeting that there should be an election within December, which Dr. Muhammad Yunus and his advisors may have considered a kind of uh, overreach or over Yunus's authority. And at the same time, Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP) organized protest rallies in the capital city.
Yeah,
So with these two key stakeholders, that is BNP and Bangladesh Army,
yeah,
are being in kind of raising question about his authority or governing style. Dr. Muhammad Yunus says inner circle have been disseminating this information that he may resign. So, to come to answer your second part, that is about the inner stability of the government. Um, so far, it has been stable for two reasons. We need to understand that there are three key stakeholders of Dr. Muhammad Yunus. One is the student-led party (NCP), one Bangladesh Nationalist Party (BNP), and the other one is Bangladesh Army. So these three key stakeholders are in consensus so far that Dr. Muhammad Yunus should lead. But what happened in last 2 days is that it is an indication that there is a trust deficit between BNP, Army, and Dr. Muhammad Yunus. And that trust deficit is premised upon one factor only, in my view, which is Dr. Muhammad Yunus is not announcing a date for election.
right. That's a very important point, that there is a trust deficit between different agencies of the state. But I just wanted to have a proper understanding. What you said, that it was a rumor, was it a pressure tactic? Uh, what was it when he doesn't want to resign? Why was there a rumor in the first place? Why were these indications given? Was it a tactic to show his resentment for the military, or perhaps show his, uh, what do we say? Perhaps show his, we can't say a blackmail, but perhaps show his intention that he will step down, and what happens to the country now?
Um, I cannot outright reject what you said. I think you have a point there that could be a political strategy of Dr. Muhammad Yunus to reassert his legitimacy over two of his key stakeholders, that is BNP and Army. We need to acknowledge the fact that if he stepped down, then there would have been a power vacuum, at least for a couple of days. And that would kind of disrupt the somewhat stable situation in the country. So you're right in that sense that probably there was a political strategy of Dr. Mohammad Yunus so that he could regain his some of his lost legitimacy.
And was Dr. Muhammad Yunus ever the right choice to lead a transitional government, given his lack of political experience? We know that he's a Nobel laureate, he's an academic, but political experience is an entirely different thing.
So this is a question that will the answer to this question will eventually unfold in the coming days. Um, it was not an ordinary situation when Dr. Mohammad Yunus took over the power, and at that moment, his brand, that a Nobel laureate of Bangladesh, probably the most well-known Bangladeshis in the world right now, is taking over the power after a bloody dictator who fled to India, which is Sheikh Hasina. So that image of Dr. Muhammad Yunus was widely accepted in the country. Now, was he the right choice? That at that moment, that was a right choice because he was a kind of an embodiment of different political quadrants under his own brand, Dr. Muhammad Yunus. But at the same time, as you outlined, he is politically inexperienced. But in Bangladesh, politics is not normal. It's highly volatile. It's highly conflicted. There are there are so many layers of politics that you don't see in many places. So perhaps even the seasoned politicians in Bangladesh at that time would have struggled. What Dr. Mohammad Yunus did is that he was a unifying factor when he took over the power. Nobody questioned that Dr. Mohammad Yunus is in power because everyone has that sort of respect for him because he is a Nobel laureate. And after Hasina, there was like a sigh of relief for many people at that time. But what is happening now is that he is kind of, I think, um, facing a dilemma that is that he is kind of moving towards personification of politics, if you know what I mean. That
Right.
I'm Dr. Mohammad Yunus. I am supposed to do right. So why don't you listen to me? So that sort of um, personification is not a healthy practice for any democracy because in democracy everyone is equal.
Right. And Mubashir, when you say that he was the unifying factor to start with, then why has the interim government failed to build a political consensus despite early public support post that uprising?
That's a good question. So, in my understanding, what has happened is that one group out of these three stakeholders. So, for your viewers, I'm repeating again, the three key stakeholders in Bangladesh is the student-led NCP and Bangladesh Nationalist Party and Army. Um, Within these three stakeholders, the students got closer to Yunus, whereas two other key stakeholders, Army and BNP, are being slightly alienated.
mm,
And by that, what I mean is that demands of students are being more materialized by Dr. Muhammad Yunus than the demand of BNP or demand of Army. The way they banned Awami League, it was an abrupt decision. In my understanding, there was no political consensus.
mm,
A group of students organized a rally in front of his house, and within I think 36 hours, he he banned Awami League. I could understand the sympathy. I could understand the reason behind students being angry with Awami League is because now it's very abnormal situation when within 2 months over 1,400 people are being killed, and most were students, so they're pretty afraid of Awami League. But at the same time, if you think bit rationally, not all the Awami Leaguers were involved in criminal activities, and it's a party that is being supported by many people. So effectively, by that, I think that decision kind of also alienated or triggered both BNP and Army League, BNP and Army, in the sense that they may have thought that why we are not being discussed here. It is so. What is he not part of our government too? So I think Yunus, to move forward, Yunus need to have more and more dialogue. So far, he has been favorable to students, but these student leaders do not have wider public support like BNP or other political parties.
right. And how do you interpret the army chief's recent warning uh, about holding elections by December? Is it a sign of military impatience, or is it merely putting pressure?
It's funny, Jafar, that in a country, military chief is wanting election and the civilian leader is not giving a date for election. It's really unique.
Mm,
So I think there was a pressure tactic, but also at the same time that triggered Yunus to resign. I mean, to evoke the discussion about resignation. But we could also understand Army Chief's perspective here, because Army is a disciplined force. It is supposed to be within the barracks and cantonment. It is not supposed to be out across the country looking after day-to-day law and order situation, which Army is doing now, right? The reason Army is on the streets because police is not functioning, and the reason police is not functioning is an indication that Yunus perhaps is struggling to establish his authority over the administration. And to many in the civil administration, they were appointed by the previous government, and also they are looking for a political government rather than an interim government. So altogether, this interim, that longevity or that uncertainty about how long an interim government would be in power have an impact on the administration, on the law and order situation, and so forth. So I think, considering all this, Army chief made that statement in an event where all other junior army officers and it's an army event where he said that elections should be within December. Dr. Muhammad Yunus didn't like it,
Mm.
And there is another reason is that he appointed a national security advisor called Khalilur Rahman, and that national security advisor was not, that position is sensitive, right? There is a talk that the national security when he appointed it, army was not consultant, but
Right.
consulted about that. But there are also talks that military intelligence knew that
Right.
he is being appointed. So altogether,
Yeah.
it seems that
There are
army chief
there are
has, yeah.
there are wheels within the wheels, as they say. But is Yunus justified in saying the political climate isn't yet suitable for elections? What risks does Bangladesh face if elections are rushed versus if they are just delayed?
I don't think Yunus is correct in that sense. Um, if if someone analyzes his political rhetoric from the moment he took over the power, they would find that election features as low priority in his rhetoric,
Right.
and it's not a good thing, because the reason Bangladesh is in this situation is because there was no free and fair election in Bangladesh since 2009. Sheikh Hasina didn't hold any free and fair election in her 15 years of ruling, even though she came into power through a free and fair election, and since then she didn't, and that's how the country got authoritarian, and all sorts of human rights violations that took place. So it should have been the priority of Dr. Muhammad Yunus, but he didn't make that priority. Even now, even today, there was a statement came out from advisor's office that he wants to move ahead, but at the same time, when he addressed the matter of election, he said it's a political decision, political parties will take the decision, even though it's his government and he needs to take that decision. So
Right.
there is this vagueness, which is kind of very concerning. So if he doesn't make it a priority, so it would never be an ideal condition to hold election. So he needs to make it priority, but he's not making it priority.
Right. That's an important point, as you were saying. But what happens to Awami League in all of this? What happens to Sheikh Hasina? Can any election held without the Awami League be considered legitimate at the end of the day?
So to be honest, I think Sheikh Hasina's politics in Bangladesh is finished. There is no chance for her to come back to Bangladesh in foreseeable future. That's my understanding. Considering her age, considering the public outrage, and considering the numbers of cases uh, she's facing and going to be convicted, most likely. But then again, there is also interesting things happening probably in Awami League, is that there was a lot of, there are telephone leaks coming out in social media where Sheikh Hasina is heard talking to her activist, but also there are leaks coming out about two Awami League people talking to each other, and there are a lot of dissatisfaction about Hasina's leadership. That is
And
causing
what is this chatter about? What is the crux of
chatter
this
about
chatter?
there are a lot of chatter about many things, right? So there are chats about what Awami Leaguers should do, what Yunus is doing. Yunus is bad. Sheikh Hasina didn't kill anyone. It's everything American ploy. Those are the Awami League chatters. But at the same time, there are chatters about two Army leaders, about the leadership of Hasina, and they blame her. And if you reach out to Awami League sources, they will see that her leadership is going to be slowly questioned, because a lot of Awami Leaguers had to leave the country because of the sheer brutality that she unleashed. So the future of Sheikh
No,
Hasina.
no. Why they had to leave the country? Because they belong to her party, and she unleashed sort of cruelty on them.
No, she unleashed cruelty on people,
Yeah.
uh, through her people.
Hmm, hmm,
So I'm again talking about, just think of 1,500 people being killed less than 60 days,
hmm.
shot down, right? So they had to flee because because people perhaps would be violent towards them. And it's not only for that, on for those 2 months, they have been supporting this authoritarian regime. That means repression on people. So when there is an uprising and then one party fell, there would be violence towards them. So I think to to shy away from this violence, to hide from this violence, they had to leave. And I think
Yeah.
over around 100, there was a Bangladeshi newspaper report which says that over uh, 100,000 Awami Leaguers are in India now. That is the Bangladeshi newspaper report, and there are
Hmm.
many more fled to other countries, and they would want to come back. But at the same time, what they are trying is that they are encouraging people who are on the ground to bring out procession, bring out rallies, but they're not being successful because there is a sense among the army leaders is that their leaders had fled, leaving them. So
Right.
why? And also they took out a lot of money and stuff. So why would they take that risk? So coming back to your question about the election, um, uh, the way it is looking, probably it is going to be an election without Army League, but Army Leaguers could participate in election as independent candidates if they want to.
Right. And we talked about the supporters of Awami League, but what are ordinary Bangladeshis? How are they reacting to this deadlock, especially those who supported the student-led uprising at the outset?
So ordinary Bangladeshis, I think there is still patient.
Yeah.
We need to understand there are two things that is different from Sheikh Hasina and from this regime is that anyone could have been picked up, beaten, and even murdered by the state forces during Sheikh Hasina's time. Doesn't matter. That the statistics. If you look into the statistics, you'll see. But now nothing of this kind is happening. They want election, but they also like Yunus, but they don't mind Yunus is holding election. Eventually, unless it is not unfold as a street conflict between BNP and students, unless it goes to that stage, I think ordinary Bangladeshis are not reacting much. I mean, we haven't seen any evidence of that they are being irritated. There are a lot of chatters. There are a lot of chatters in social media and on both sides. There is one group who says should be there for 5 years.
Hmm.
There are other groups who say that election should be held because there are so many people died because of a lack of free and fair election. But these are all a matter of public discussion. Nothing serious is being taken on the streets so far.
And lastly, do you see international legitimacy eroding for this interim government if Yunus step down without a clear transition plan,
Um,
or he fails to have a clear timeline for the elections as well?
so international legitimacy would be eroding if there is no free and fair elections, which
Right.
means that if there is a no clear roadmap, and then things go out of hand. There are street conflict, protests, and so forth. Then there will be loss of international legitimacy for this government. But so far, I think Yunus is enjoying quite a strong international support, not from India. Apart from India, Trump administration has been surprisingly quite sympathetic to Dr. Muhammad Yunus, and that matters most to Bangladesh. I don't think, as long as he is in power and as long as he holds the election within a reasonable time frame, he would face legitimacy crisis. But if he prolongs this sort of vagueness about when the election would be held, he doesn't know. He doesn't give a date. Then I think slowly his international legitimacy would erode.
Right. Dr. Mubashir Hassan, thanks so much for joining us today, for sharing your thoughts, and for helping us understand the situation in Bangladesh. Thanks to our viewers for watching the Mojo Story. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.